This is Carol Livingston from Dynamics Connections, and on this episode of ISV Talks, we speak with John McDonald, who is the Regional President of North America for ExpandIT. And ExpandIT is a field service solution. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Carol. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it. Again, name is John McDonald. I'm the Regional President for North America. I've worked with ExpandIT for about 15 years, but maybe by way of background, I've worked in mid-market ERP and software channels really for most of my life. When I was in my late 20s, I started with a company called Navision Software in Denmark that probably some of the channel partners know pretty well. And from there, I worked with Microsoft for about 10 years before joining ExpandIT 15 years ago, shortly after the Navision acquisition. And my job was with the other partners to start the operations of ExpandIT in North America. So my background is actually a lot like a lot of the other team members at ExpandIT. As you can tell, I've been working in mid-market software and channels and working with partners for most of my life. So you could say it's part of my DNA in a way, and it's actually part of the DNA of the vast majority of the people at ExpandIT.
Awesome. How did it start, and what's the company history?
Yeah, so the company started shortly after Navision Software was acquired by Microsoft, and two of the founders decided they wanted to try something entrepreneurial. They wanted to build a software company that could expand or extend on top of mid-market ERP, specifically Microsoft's new mid-market ERP. At the time, it was Nav and now Business Central. So that was the original focus. Let's look to add value on top of Microsoft's mid-market ERP solution. So I joined, as I mentioned, about 15 years ago. And at about that time, the company decided that there was a real opportunity to support Business Central, or now Business Central, then Nav, by extending the application with capabilities for companies with a mobile workforce. So the view was, Microsoft does a fantastic job with their Business Central product of dealing with structured data. So everything that workers need in the office, but we observed there was an opportunity to expand or extend Business Central. So we're very specialized. Our focus are companies with a mobile workforce and extending Microsoft Dynamics ERP products. Again, the focus are companies with field operations, but what we see that they really need, or where the gap is in Microsoft Dynamics Business Central and their other ERPs, are products for resource planning, so graphical and web-based scheduling for a worker in the office, and also some advanced planning tools. So that's for the people in the office to make sure that they get the right people with the right skills, with the right tools to the right customer job as quickly as possible. And then we also saw there was a need for a mobile application for the field workers. So the people doing installations or service-based work, they needed a tool to be able to capture time, consumption of materials, also to replace paper in the field so that they could be more efficient. And then we also saw there was a requirement for a service portal for the end customers, so that end customers could go to a portal, at their convenience, place a service request, see the status of work that's maybe been scheduled for their facilities, and even see documents, invoices, even pay invoices and other things through that service portal. So those are the three kind of key modules or elements of our solution that we build on top of Microsoft Dynamics ERP products, that it really expands the experience for companies with a mobile workforce. And I say there's probably four key capabilities that we think are pretty unique to what we do. First off is we provide a extension-based integration to Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So we're really unique in that area. We integrate to both the jobs and the service management module. And that provides a lot of value for end customers because we build it and we maintain it. They don't have to worry about it working. So when Microsoft Business Central does updates, which they do regularly, our product just works, which means that the end customer can carry on their work in the field and not worry about whether or not the system's going to work when they need to be out there working. Secondly, we make it easy for the workers in the office to schedule work. working sometimes in an ERP system is not always the simplest UI for scheduling and dispatching. So we provide a really easy to use experience for those workers in the office to, again, schedule work, see the status of what's going on, and even know what's going on out in the field. Because on the scheduling tool, they can see kind of what's happening real time with their workers. They can also communicate back and forth. So we provide a communication infrastructure that allows the planners and schedulers in the office to communicate with the field workers. And we even, through the service portal, allow end customers to communicate with the schedulers as well. Finally, I'd say the biggest thing that is a key differentiator for us, and we use in a lot of our marketing, is that we provide a guaranteed fixed price, fixed scope solution offering in our expanded essentials offering. That's really unique in the marketplace.
That's pretty bold, actually.
Yeah, and we did it because we wanted to take the risk out of the project for the end customer, and hopefully we can talk more about this later on. But you know, that's kind of all about providing value to the end customer. We want to make it easy for them to adapt our solution and use it. We also want to make it easy for our partners that we work with to advocate and sell our product.
Yeah, that's a great benefit.
I often refer to Business Central because it is our main focus, because it really is the main, SMB focused solution for Microsoft in their Dynamics suite. But we also integrate to older versions of NAV. We also have a standard integration to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management, which used to be called the AX product. So we also have an integration to that product as well.
Okay.
However, really 90% of our focus is on the Business Central product because we really focus on the SMB market. We think there's, great energy around that product, and there's just a real demand for a solution like ours in the SMB marketplace. I will also add, though, Carol, we also have launched in the last 12 months a web API that allows us to integrate to other sort of third-party systems. Those could be other ERP systems that perhaps some of our partners might also sell.
So what changes have you seen in the channel the past couple of years?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Carol, about kind of changes in the channel. So, first off, there's been a lot of consistency in the channel. And that's one thing that really kind of draws us to kind of Microsoft and Microsoft Dynamics. One of the things I think that channel partners really want is consistency and predictability with respect to how their channel works. That's one of the things that Microsoft really gets. And so first and foremost, I'd say, there's always been a fairly consistent approach to working with the channel for Microsoft. And as an ISV and a developer like us, that attracts us also to working in this channel, that consistency and predictability. Your question, of course, there has been some change. And probably the biggest thing that we continue to see most recently is just some of the capacity constraints that we see. And this is driven, I think, by a lot of the success that we see in the channel with around Business Central and in Microsoft Dynamics in general. But there's no doubt that resources and skilled people are harder and harder to find. And so that's the biggest thing, even for us as a developer. Finding skilled resources, that's challenging for, I think, all of us. The solution that we've decided to look at to address this is by moving to that kind of more of a fixed price, fixed scope solution offering. So we observed that we just couldn't find and train and hire enough talented people to grow. So by moving to a fixed price, fixed scope solution offering, it allows us to scale with fewer developer resources. So that allows us to use more solution-oriented consulting resources to help with onboarding and customer success. And we're finding that's allowing us to grow despite the resource constraints that I'm seeing in the channel today.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
It's a common challenge for all of us. And it's one of the reasons, by the way, that sometimes the channel works well together is because we have this constraint and there's an acknowledgement that we have to help each other. I saw you last week at Directions North America, Carol, and that really highlighted how important that is to me, the fact that channel partners, whether they're ISVs with solutions like ours and even other ISVs, as well as solution partners. One of the only ways we can address this capacity constraint is to all really focus on kind of what we're best at and to work together. And that's one of the things that really excites me about this particular channel that we're working in.
Kind of shifting gears a bit, maybe talk about how ExpandIT has helped a customer.
Yeah, I love talking about those sort of stories, and so the one I thought about probably comes to mind first is actually the first customer that we onboarded with our fixed price, fixed scope solution offering. It was a company called Waterloo Biofilter. They went live on, again, our fixed price solution. They were small but growing rapidly, and in a way, the solution, because for those reasons, was kind of ideal for them. They did not have a really large or extensive IT group to take on a lot of extensive changes and process change. They were coming from an old, outdated ERP and upgrading to Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, and they were literally using paper and manual processes in the field. So doing scheduling on a whiteboard and literally writing the work they were completing on pieces of paper and hoping that their field workers would submit those paper reports at the end of the week, right?
Right.
So, they implemented our solution, adopted our best practices approach in our product, and literally within 6 weeks, they were using our product in the field and seeing kind of dramatic improvements to the employee experience as well as customer experience. They were simply able to invoice for the work that they were doing, 3 or 4 times faster, and ultimately getting paid by their customers, which is a key business outcome, which is really about improving cash flow. So they're continuing to grow and expand. We continue to stay in touch with them. They've done a web testimonial for us on our website if you're interested in looking at it, or any of the people are interested in looking at it. But they're continuing to grow rapidly, adding more field workers and planners. And so there's no doubt I've got a kind of a special spot in my heart for this customer. I would say 10 years ago, there was a little bit of maybe resistance for field workers to using a mobile device. But things have really changed, I think, because of just the prevalence of using mobile devices in all of our daily lives, right? You and I, we all use them to stay in touch with our friends and family and do our banking. So I just think generally people are very comfortable, right, using a device like this. And in fact, younger field workers even expect it. We've talked to some customers where, they're shocked if they're being asked to use paper and pen in the field. So today we don't see the resistance. In fact, what we're seeing is an expectation from workers to be able to use a more modern tool, right, to kind of get the job done. And at the end of the day, field workers, they want to get the job done. They want to do good work. They want to move on. They want to be efficient. If you make the UI like we have easy to use and specialized for their industry, they understand that this is, just a kind of a necessary tool in their toolbox, not unlike some of the other tools that they might be using every day to help their customers. We try really hard because we know that the field workers, they just want to get the job done. They just want to be efficient and, do, whether they're installing something or repairing something. We just want to make our solution as easy to use as possible. And we work hard at that. In fact, when we first developed the UI 12 years ago, we went out and interviewed a pile of, technicians, whether they were plumbing or HVAC or all kinds of different industries, and really got their personal feedback about how they would want to work or interact with a mobile device. So I think that's allowed us to make our mobile application as inoffensive as possible to these field workers.
So what are some of the new things?
Well, I'd say that the first thing, and I already mentioned this, is our web API. We're hearing more and more from customers that they want to connect the data that they collect with the ExpandIT solution to other applications, whether it's Microsoft Power BI or even other third-party ERPs. So that's a new innovation that we brought to market in the last 12 months. And already we're actually helping a number of customers, integrate to additional ERPs or additional Microsoft systems through that web API. So we're really excited about that. We think that'll help customers. It'll help them be more efficient, also help our partners. So that's the first thing. The second thing, again, we're always hearing new innovations from our customers. They're always bringing us new ideas, and we're always putting those into our product. But one of the things that we've consistently heard in the last couple of years is that field-based organizations are using more and more of subcontractors. They use those subcontractors maybe to handle, peaks in demand, or perhaps they use subcontractors in certain geographies where they can't have full-time employees do the service or installations. So they're relying on, really, specialty subcontractors to help augment their field workforce. So they've been asking us for a tool, purpose built for those subcontractors. So we're really excited. We've begun to test a subcontractor portal that's really meant to, make the experience easier for those companies that work with subcontractors. So we're testing that with a couple of early adopter customers now, and we're looking forward to having a product in market in the next 3 months.
Any perspective you have to share about the marketplace and how customers are using ISVs or add-ons or software to improve their operational efficiency?
That's a good question, especially coming off of Directions last week, Carol. We had I had the opportunity actually to walk around, talk to a lot of other ISVs, and to talk to a lot of partners with you, in fact. So, and that was kind of something I'm always asking about, whether it's other partners or customers. So, but I'll comment first about our solution. So, our focus is pretty specific. We're focused on improvements in operational efficiency for field-based workers. And we see really a greenfield opportunity for us. It's just the opportunity to improve processes there is extraordinary, because as we've already talked about, many of them are coming from manual processes, or really not using anything, paper and pen and whiteboards to do scheduling. So the opportunity to talk about a digital transformation in the field that's a really significant opportunity for end customers. I'll give you an example. I mean, I frequently get calls from the owner, the president, the CEO of companies, and I'll tell you about a call I got a couple of weeks ago. So the CEO of a customer, she called me late on a Friday, found my number on our website, and contacted me directly. And basically, I could tell she was really frustrated. She'd been through recently an ERP upgrade to Business Central, and really felt that there were still some gaps she needed. The service and the jobs module didn't really give her and her business what they needed to be as efficient as they wanted. She was telling me on the phone that, she was up at night, in fact, kind of not knowing, whether they're really making or losing money on projects in the field. She told me that she felt that she couldn't really grow her business fast enough because of the administrative burden of bringing on more field workers was just too high, because they had to hire all these administrative people to support the field workers. So I know that the pain is really acute for these organizations. So when I talk about the opportunity, that's the digital transformation that we're addressing by implementing systems like us. So the opportunity for process improvements is significant. So significant, in fact, that generally we see an ROI of anywhere from 3 to 6 months when a customer adopts a solution like ours. Simply because the pain and the cost of their manual process and doing nothing is so high for these service-based organizations that literally these owners, presidents, they're up at night kind of worrying about their business, looking for a way to improve their operational efficiency. It's a trend everywhere, but if you're a service-based company, so much of your profit and your revenue is driven by how you perform and your efficiency out in the field. And a lot of these companies are simply flying blind. There's some obvious, industries that need a solution like ours: HVAC and construction, and companies that repair machines and engines, like generators and pumping systems. We see a lot of that. But one of the things that I spend a lot of time on when I'm talking to partner organizations that we work with in the Dynamics channel is that we're actually quite broader. So I always encourage our partners to think about their customers in a broader perspective. So I say, we have a solution for any sort of organization that performs a service in the field. So, think about companies that do facility maintenance. Think about companies that maybe do healthcare, so servicing and, whether it's healthcare equipment or providing healthcare related services in the field. We work with customers that are providing services for agricultural, mining, oil and gas. So really, I spend a lot of time talking to customers to think more broadly. In fact, we've got some partners that specialize in manufacturing. And a lot of manufacturers don't necessarily think of themselves as a service-based company. But the truth is, many manufacturers today are doing on-site fabrication. And then they need to send out a crew of people to install that equipment or that machine or that crane or whatever it is that they fabricated or manufactured. And they need a system like ours to schedule that installation and then to provide service of that equipment after the fact. So, like I say, it's much broader industry than a lot of people think of.
Just kind of moving on. So, any new trends?
Obviously, everyone's talking about AI, and that's an exciting opportunity for anybody in technology. And there's no doubt that artificial intelligence will make a contributing factor in solutions like ours. I think it can augment products like ours and will augment products like ours. So we're really excited about leveraging some of the AI technology coming from Microsoft and thinking about how we make it easier for schedulers to do more efficient scheduling and how we make it easier for field workers to be more efficient in the field. So that's one of the great things about partnering with Microsoft is we get to stand on top of their innovation. So we get to take the great things that they're doing around artificial intelligence and bring that and leverage that in our products. So that was probably the first thing. The next thing that everybody's talking about at Directions is how you migrate customers that have been on a system for 10 or 15 years to exciting new products like Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So a lot of talk from Microsoft and from partners around that as well. And what I'd say is products like ours can be a contributing factor in that area. I mean, let's face it, if you're a company using an accounting system, the accounting system, generally is good enough. It's often, web-based workloads like a product like ours that will drive an upgrade of a new product or adoption of a new product. So I think that's something that we talked a lot about with partners. And that was the other thing that was pretty clear when we talked to other partners and down at Directions as well. Customers' businesses are really often very, very unique, right? But I'd say, probably the biggest thing is kind of what we already kind of hit on just in our last conversation. The biggest trend is most customers have been through, one or two upgrade cycles of a financial system, and they know how, they know it's hard and it's complicated. And so the big trend that I'm seeing is, solutions from other solution partners or accelerators or ISV solutions like ours that can really be a driving factor in for helping, drive the ROI and the value in upgrading from maybe an older legacy system. That's the biggest thing because most customers have a financial system in place of some sort. And, they're looking for, the value proposition to upgrade and kind of why they should do that now. And I think it's some of the accelerators that we're seeing from some of our solution partners that help a lot. Some of the innovations on upgrades from Microsoft are helping a lot. But ISV applications, like ExpandIT and others are also helping to drive that conversation.
So, well, thank you for joining this episode of ISV Talks with John McDonald from ExpandIT. So thank you, John, for joining our discussion today. It was really fun to talk about kind of your perspectives since you've been on the channel and kind of what you're seeing in the future. So here's John's contact information. Reach out to him, give him a call. He'd love to talk with you. So thank you, John.
Yeah, well, thank you, Carol. It's a real pleasure to be here. I think this is a wonderful forum that you've put together as part of your Dynamics Connections organization. it's great to share some of these thoughts. And as you said, I'd say, please, anyone, do not hesitate to reach out to me directly by phone or email or text if you're interested in connecting with me personally, or interested in more information on ExpandIT or some of the solutions that we might have for your customers. So thank you, Carol.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.